I take the dog for a walk all the time. It started with breathlessness and sort of tightness of the chest and that kind of thing. I kept moaning to my wife about it, and she said, "Stop moaning to me, go to your GP." So I did, and the GP recognised that, given family history of my father having a similar problem, that we needed to do some investigations. And that's when the progress started. GP got onto various teams and got me referred, excuse me. And it started from there. I went through a significant number of tests, as you can imagine, and ultimately got to meet Bill Kamani. Initially, there was some thoughts around whether the issue could be dealt with medication, for example. But there were a few more tests then explored, and it became quite clear that there was an issue. And it turned out that there were the 3 areas that needed to be bypassed. And without that, in all honesty, it was going to cause me problems as I get older. I was sort of 58 at the time, and I thought, I can't carry on like this. And Bill, to his credit, explained absolutely everything, all my options. So you can do A, B, and C. What do you want to do? Having those put on the table, effectively, enabled me to make an informed choice, which is really very important. I felt I was part of the process rather than having something done to me, which was really very important. And I could then come home and explain to my wife what the options were, why I'd made that decision, because I then understood it, which was really, really very good. I was sat with Bill in his consulting room, and he explained what it was. So effectively it's a virtual ward whereby, rather than people having to go into hospital to get readings done, etc., whilst they're waiting for their operation, they can submit those readings through an app. It first started probably about 8 months ago. And I was monitoring myself every day at one point. And then they advised me I didn't need to do that. I was a bit of overkill, really, I suppose. So every Wednesday from 6 o'clock in the morning through till any time up to about 11 o'clock, I guess, I would submit my readings. And I'd get a reminder through the app, which I found extremely useful, although I did still manage to miss one of the submissions, at which point I received a very nice phone call with a gentle reminder to say, today's the day. For me, I found that access to my blood pressure readings, my oxygen levels, etc., was very useful, because I started to track that in another app I've got on my phone, my health app. So it would then tell me if my blood pressure readings were out of the ordinary, for example. It would tell me if my oxygen levels were too low. So I knew when I was putting them in to the team that I would get a phone call. And I could say, yeah, I've seen this over the last few days. Although I've only submitted to you every Wednesday, I keep an eye on it myself. And I know if I've been for a walk, for example, my blood pressure would have gone up. So I can see that. I can see what the symptoms were, what the outcomes were of any action I was taking. And it really helped to be able to understand cause and effect. I think if somebody asked me as a new patient coming in, would you consent to remote monitoring? Again, I would have absolutely no doubt. And it's something I would recommend simply for the peace of mind, because it really does take away the stress of what's going to happen moving forward. There's no point in getting yourself stressed out when you're already in a difficult situation. And the guys on the remote monitoring team, the nurses and everybody else, make life so easy. And it really does take that stress away and enable you to focus on your operation, speak to your consultant, do what you need to do. Yeah, absolutely, 100% recommend it to anybody. I think the key things for me within the care that I received that made the biggest difference was the fact that the people were friendly. The communication channels were always open. Nothing was too much trouble. My family felt at home, felt at ease. I felt comfortable knowing they knew what was going on, so I could concentrate on getting better effectively. And just to be able to understand how the journey was going, because nobody sugarcoated anything, which I thought was fantastic. You know, they would tell me, you've got a problem, we're going to deal with it. This is what we're going to do. I thought, fine, get on with it. You know, this is what you're there for. You're the experts. I'm the patient. You've got my consent to do what you need to do, you know. And that was the way it was right across the piece. Half or so. I'm feeling extremely positive about the future. And the reason I say that is because I had lots of things in my mind about how difficult it was going to be to recover. And for some people, I appreciate it will be. For me, it's been a great experience in terms of recovery. Nothing's held me back. The medication I was given to ease the pain has been absolutely fabulous. I've been able to sleep. I get tired, obviously, but that's one of those things. And I'm now back, after 3 weeks after the operation, into a standard sleep pattern. I'm going for walks up to 1.5 miles every day. And I would never have said that was possible. But it's down to the skill and care that was given at the hospital.